Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Reva with Quality Sewing and Vacuum, and I'm so excited you're here. It is the holiday season, and you know, I don't like wrapping presents anymore. I don't like it. I used to like it when I was a kid, but I really don't. I don't enjoy it. I actually don't even like making chocolate chip cookies because it's the same thing over and over. It's really boring to me. So I love making gift bags, and every year I try to find a different gift bag to make, and I have found a cutie patootie for you. This is a really fun little one that I found the instructions on YouTube, and I just wanted to share it with you because it's so stinking cute. It's adorable. So let's take a look at this. Is a little drawstring bag, and you can untie it, and then you open it up. You ready? Oh, it's a gift for me. Look at that. So inside, who doesn't like metallic thread? Oh, and my favorite, I don't know who, this is such a nice gift. Who knew? This is my favorite, Rocher. Yeah, so thread and Rocher, I'm happy as a clam. Okay, well, okay, yeah, I put them in there. But anyway, let me tell you how to make this because it's really, really fun. So if you take a look, it's got, let's actually go to the overhead because it's going to be bigger and we can see how this works out. So it has the four little points here, and you can see I'm using a kind of a royal purple here, and this is more of a magenta purple on the inside. You can do whatever, and it's drawstring, so when you pull it closed, you get the cutest little flower that forms on the top, and then you simply tie a little bow, and that is your decoration. One, done, boom, there you go. And it's great for your holiday gift giving. It's great for any time if you want to make a little gift, and it's just a sweet little pouch that's just perfect for that friend gift. If you're going to a sewing retreat, doggone, what friend wouldn't like to have a sweet little bag like this? Okay, you also, when you're done with it, since it is just nice and small, you could put your basic notions in here, so it's really usable, not just for a gift. And if you're at my house, my kids know that if mom makes a tag or a bag, you give it back. Unless you're going to use it, you can keep it if you're going to use it, but you know what? You can get your present in it next year too. That makes me really happy. Okay, but let's take a look again at this, because when before it's in the, here it is open, right? Undone. And in here, you're going to see it's a square, right, around the outside edges. But what's really cool is it starts with just two basic 10-inch squares. Easy peasy. So let me bring out my supplies, and I want to show you the supplies that we're going to use today. And I know I was a little slow on that, but there you go. Here's our supplies that we're going to use today. So I've got two pieces, two 10-inch squares. These are just from a pre-cut pack layer cake, and you can, you know, you always have those left over, right? So you can take a couple of those. Now here's the only measurement you need. I have two pieces of ribbon that are 1/4 inch wide by 26 inches. Only measurement you need. Okay, two 10-inch squares and two pieces of ribbon that are 26 inches long, and they're 1/4 inch wide. Okay, then other things that that you might enjoy having on hand, of course, are pins, and then a little ruler, your thread. You got to trim your threads. If you want to do any marking, have a marking tool that will mark on your fabric. You notice I have dark fabric here, so I have a blue chalk marker, and you can see the line really well. And then I do have some glow tape. You need a Rocher. Okay, anyhow, okay, so these are just the basic supplies, and it's so easy. Let me get rid of that little chalk there. So what I'm going to do is move my supplies off to the side so I can show you a couple of things here. So I'm going to take my piece. You're going to love this. It's so easy. You take one of your 10-inch squares, and you're going to put it right side up, and then you're going to take the other one and put it face down right on it, right sides down. Okay, and then I'm just going to pin them together, and even though my pin is nowhere near the seam allowance, you notice that I have the point out, not the head out, because I don't want to catch the foot or anything on that head. Excuse me, so I just want to pin, and I'm just doing a quick pin. Now, I am going to stitch all the way around this, but leave an opening because we're going to turn it right side out. So I'm going to take a pin and put right here in my seam allowance. And you know what? I'm going to put 2. I'm putting 2 because 2 is weird, and my brain will go, whoa, 2 pins. I've got to stop there. Okay, now we're going to take this over to the machine. So let's take a look at the machine. Now I'm using the FOF Creative Expression 750 for a couple of reasons. It has a needle down function. It also has a laser guide if you want to use it, and it also has I can tell the needle to go up or down just with the foot pedal, which is really cool. And oh, I should thread it, right? It has an automatic needle threader, and I see in the camera there that I don't have my dual feed on. And I'm going to put that on. And the dual feed is actually a feed dog for the top layers of the fabric. So your feed dogs work down here, and this one works on the top. So it really gives great feeding. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to be doing a 1/2 inch. I want to know where my 1/2 inch is, and that's for later, but I'm going to go ahead and take the glow tape and I'm going to align it with my 1/2 inch mark that's on the bed of the machine, which is another reason why I really do like this machine, is because it has those markings. Now, here's a tip. See how it wants to come down, and you know how these things lift up? I'm going to give us some extra right there, and I'm going to lift this up and let it go inside so there's nothing to catch on that. And I can do the same thing with the back bucket. And now my little tape, well, that didn't work. Did you see how that bubbled up? That's just funny. I should actually stick it down first and then stick it in there. Now my tape is set at a 1/2 inch. I'm good to go. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stitch around my fabric, and I'm going to go to the edge of the foot, which there's actually a mark right here on the bed of my machine that I'm going to use as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my foot down, and I want to activate my needle down function as well. Okay, now what I'm going to do is rotate my fabric, and I just have this on a standard straight stitch, and I rotated it so I'm coming off the seam allowance. You see that? And I'm actually going to stitch a couple of stitches forward. Then I'm going to go reverse and stop, and then I'm going to come back. The reason I did that is when we turn it right side out, that gives me some security to flip it right side out. You'll see. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew around this, and I'm going to stop at that 3, because I'm about 3/8 of an inch of seam allowance right now, and I'm just going to rotate this and just stitch around. This, oh, I'm going to turn up the speed. He's kind of slow. Let's turn him up. There we go. Oh, that's better. Okay, now I'm going to just go ahead and stop, rotate, and take out my pin. Okay, so this is easy, right? Okay, I'm using the 10-inch pre-kit squares, and these have pinked edges. The pinked edges are really nice because it makes everything less messy. But sometimes when we're sewing, you're thinking, do I go to the edge of the peak or do I come on the valley of the peak? You know what? It really doesn't matter for a project like this. Just be consistent with it. If you are doing a project where a 1/4 inch seam allowance really, really does matter, then what I suggest you do is put it on your cutting mat and measure your 10-inch square and find out if 10 inches is the outside of the peak or it's the inside of the peak. Okay, I'm coming up to my 2 pins. That's my, hey, look here, we want to end. So I'm going to come up here and stop, and instead of reversing right there, I'm going to rotate it again toward the seam allowance and stitch those couple of stitches, and then back again, and then cut my thread. Another reason why I love this machine is because it has that thread cutter. Okay, so now I have this. Let's go to the overhead and let's talk about what we have here. I think, nope, we can see them better on the green. I used white thread in hopes that you could see everything here. But here's my opening, okay? And see how the stitch comes right there, and then it comes over. Now, first thing I'm going to do, because this is just the way I am, I'm going to trim my little tails. because that makes me happy to get rid of those tails. Okay, now I want to trim the corner. So I'm going to bring this up to you. Hopefully you can see. So when you have a corner with your thread, you want to remove the bulk. So you can do just one cut across and do it at the 45 degree. I like to go in and make a really sharp, really wacky angle, and then go the other way. So instead of having a square with an evenly cut off, I do sharp and then sharp. So that way it removes even more bulk. And we're not going to cut the stitches at all, because then, then it's going to come undone. Okay, so there's 1 and 2. Another tool that I did use on mine, which I did not get out here today, is a point turner, and that really does come in handy. So if you have one of those, grab one, because scissors, not a good idea. Oh, look, and magically a point turner appears. Look at don't you wish your sewing room would do that? Just automatically come to you and bring you the things you need. Okay, so now let's turn this right side out. So I have my hole here. I'm going to give you a couple of different little things to keep in mind when you're turning something right side out. This hasn't been stitched, and it is straight of grain, so it's not going to stretch a lot. But if you've ever turned something right side out and then this edge is wibbly, because it gets stretched out. So what I like to do is, 1, leave a hole big enough for my hand to get in, right, if possible. B, and this is tight. I don't even think I want to try putting my hand in there. However, what I'm going to do is go to the corner and push the corner in, and I'm going to grab that and pull it out. And see, I'm holding this to just turn it right side out that way. And so that gives very little, if any, stress on that seam. Here's where the point turner comes in. It has a nice ball on the end, so that helps keep you from poking through. No one likes to have a shaggy corner because your scissors went through. And as I go from one corner to the other, I am running. Can you see he's right here? I'm running him along that seam line and kind of opening that seam up on the inside so it's kind of flat. And then I'll poke out my corner and then come this way. Okay, now I've got this guy and this guy to do. So I'm going to go to the far corner here. And actually I'm going to go down to the bottom seam and kind of get him smoothing out. And then I found my corner. And now we're going to come back up the side to that top point. And there he is. Okay, now here comes the magic. Since we stitched that seam allowance and made that L into the seam allowance, it's going to want to fold under automatically. Okay, and I'm not going to do that yet because I noticed that I did not address this corner very well. So I'm going to go back in with my little point turner and get him looking good. Okay, so now I have this, and if I just give a gentle little pull on him, he folds right in half, and or right along that seam line, and he's ready to go. Isn't that cool? Oh, let me fix him too. I should look at my corners. Let's look at all the corners. Okay, and one thing you want to, when you're turning a pointed corner like this, you don't want to over poke them, because then they end up looking like they're going, instead of like this, they're going wah, just really weird. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press this and get him all pressed down. Okay, so how hard is this? 2 10-inch squares. We stitched them together, right sides together, and left a hole for turning. Okay? All right, now guess what? We're not even going to sew that up. Nope, we're not. We're not going to do it. But what we're going to do is we're going to decide which is our outside and which is our inside. I want the outside of my bag to be green because I think it'd be really pretty if my petals were the pink. Okay? So, easy way to do this, you can use a ruler, or take a look at, dig this. This is really cool. This worked out so well. I'm going to take my mat and I'm going to put the corner of my piece on a corner intersection. You see how the grid lines come to a point there? And I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a pin at 3 inches. 1, 2, 3 at 3 inches. Okay? You can count to 3. I know we can. Even if you've had some eggnog, I bet you can count to 3. Okay, is it eggnog time? I think it's eggnog time. And I don't mean the saucy one, I just mean eggnog in general. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've got those 2 done. I'm going to do that on all 4 corners. I guess eggnog is a controversial topic. Some people, like in my household, my husband hates eggnog, and I happen to really like Dairy Gold eggnog. So guess what? He doesn't drink any of mine. It's really lovely. I don't have to share. Okay, do you like eggnog? Oh, what's your favorite Christmas treat? Let's do that. Tell us what your favorite Christmas treat is. Okay, so I've got all 4 of my corners are pinned. Okay, you don't have to pin them. You can use a ruler and you can use your marker and you can just mark them if you want to. But the pins work really well for me as well. So what I'm going to do is where the edge is here, I'm just going to bend it, fold this over. So my fold is from pin to pin, and then I'm going to press it. So you just have a 3-inch little slippy doodle. I don't know what you call it. What do you want to call it? Oh, I should have turned it on. My iron's not even on anymore. Okay, so let me just pin that in place just for a second because my iron was not hot yet. I thought something was amiss. Okay. So we're going to do this to all 4 corners. Oh, see, now it's hot. It's happy now. I should take these guys out as we go along so I don't forget. And how easy is this? So far, I think you can make 1 billion of them in no time at all. But you probably don't want to make 1 billion of them, so do how many you want. Okay. And again, if you're using yardage and you think about your fabric is 42 inches wide, you can get 4 of them out of every width of fabric. So you can get a lot of these in a very, in not much space. Okay, so now I have this. So what we're going to go do now is we're going to stitch our casing for our ribbon. So that is 1/2 of an inch. We're going to sew 1/2 an inch here, 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 and here. So that's what my little tape is for, is at that 1/2 inch seam allowance. And so I'm just going to line up my fabric on that edge, and then we're going to stitch. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to reverse so I lock in that lock the stitches in. And you would use matching thread. I'm using the white thread because I'm thinking that you'll be able to see it better. And when I get to the end of the seam, I do a reverse there, and I'm going to use my thread cutter, and I'm going to then do the next section. This is not a continuous seam. You're going to independently sew each of the 4 corners 1/2 inch from the fold. And I just have my stitches are set for the default, which is 2.5 long, and it's center needle position in this particular case. But you can have it sew however you want to. Just bear in mind that you want your stitching to be that 1/2 of an inch from the folded edge of the fabric. Okay, and here's our opening right here, but we're going to ignore it. Doesn't that feel weird? Okay. So I'm going to stitch that, reverse, and this is our last one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and clean up my threads, just because that makes me happy to go in here, and I'm going to just get rid of all my extra threads. And just get it cleaned up, and that's the top side. Then I'm going to flip to the back side, because when you use a thread cutter, it neatly pulls those 2 threads to the back. The single thread was the starting thread, and the 2 are my ending threads. So I'm just going to get rid of those. Okay, so now we're going to start forming the pouch. And let me get this thread out of there. Okay, get him trimmed. Okay, so now we're going to start forming the pouch, because the pouch actually has a little bit of shaping to it right there. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And notice how our little contrasting color meet up right there. So what we're going to do now is this is the right side and this is the wrong side. So in between the sections right here, right, I'm going to fold this up so it's right sides together, and we're going to meet that folded edge. We're going to meet the edge and we're going to stitch right down there. And what I'm going to do is at the beginning, I'm going to stitch in, back stitch, come down here and back stitch. And you can do a very narrow seam here. You don't have to have a wide seam. And so what I'm also going to do is this little corner right there is where that fold is. So I'm going to try to come underneath, just underneath that fold of fabric. It's okay if you nip it or, you know, get it a little bit, but we really don't need to stitch that down. So, you know, the corners. So I'm going to go ahead and just stitch a couple of stitches and then reverse. And then I'm going to come down here, and when I get to the end, I'm going to reverse again and then cut my thread, and then we're going to go to the next side. This is as difficult as it is, and this is my open. Look, this is my opening side, but since we're stitching it closed this way, no one will know where you stitched it or what you did. So I'm going to just bring him in here and stitch a couple and then reverse. And then come back down and reverse, thread cutter. And we're going to repeat this on all 4 sides. So simple, so easy. And I love the fact that you don't have to pre-close the hole. You know, it just does it all for you. Okay. Then, when we're done with this, we're going to thread our ribbon through our little casing here that we just made. And we're using a 1/4 inch ribbon because we had a 1/2 inch little hole. We're going to go back to the overhead now, and I am going to, oh, that one didn't stitch. I guess my bobbin thread isn't sticking up. Do it again, do over. My bobbin thread did not come to the top. Okay, let's try that one again. You know, every sewing project, I say to myself, I'm going to have to unsew something. And then that way, when it comes to the being a fact, I'm not stressed about it because I know it's going to happen. Okay, so now I've got that stitched, and I'm going to come through and just trim my little threads right off of all 4 of my little sections. And we're going to get that trimmed. He's going to be really happy. Again, you're going to use matching thread because I don't think you want to have the contrast like I have here, right? So, okay. Do that. Here's one here and one here. Okay, last one is this one right here. Okay, so now we're going to thread our ribbon. Actually, we'll turn them right side out. Oop, there's one more I missed. Okay, so now to turn him right side out, what I do is I put my thumb in that corner and then I fold over. See the seam allowance? I'm going to fold it over, pinch it, and flip it out. That's all you have to do. So I put my thumb into the corner, fold it, flip it, thumb in, fold it over, pinch it, flip it. Okay, so this gives us a nice form to our little guy here. You don't even have to press them, okay? But now we have our piece and it's ready to have the ribbon threaded through it. Now our casing is 1/2 inch, so you really want to use a 1/4 inch ribbon. Otherwise, with the turn of cloth and everything, you just won't have enough space to run a ribbon through. Now for the bodkin, I like to give it some girth to hold on to. So I'm going to fold it. See how I folded down that like 1 inch piece? I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to fold that in half. So I have like 4 layers. This is not necessary. I just find this works better for me. Then I'm going to take a bodkin. Bodkin is like a pair of tweezers that have really pointy teeth on it that you clip on, and then it has this slide that slides down and holds those teeth really tight around whatever you have in it. See that? There's different styles of bodkins, but this is the one that I really use all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to run the ribbon in here, around the corner here, and back out. Okay, and actually this one looks like I sewed it kind of crooked, so maybe I'll start there. It'll be easier to do. And then the second piece, we're going to come in from the other side and run it this way, because we have 2 pieces of ribbon that are 26 inches long, and we're just going to pull and just run him around the 4 sides, just like that. This is the hardest part of the whole thing, and it's not even hard, right? So we're just going to pull him around, and see how much faster it is to do this with a bodkin than it is to try to do something like this with like a safety pin. Some of you probably have been sewing as long as I have, and Mom always had us use a safety pin. Well, the bodkins are easier. So now what I'm going to do is, see how this one is shorter than this one? I'm going to put my thumb right here in that corner and just kind of even them out a little bit. And then I'm going to find my other piece of ribbon, which I don't know where it, aha, on the floor. Take him, and I'm going to give myself that chunky bit, so I'm going to fold it about 1 inch down, and then fold that one in half again, and put that over, hold it in place while I slide the little slide on. This time we're going to go in from the opposite side, and this will give our ties, we'll have one on each side of our little pouch. Just want to be careful that when you do pull these, that you don't pull them so firmly that they slip right on out. Okay, which I got, now I got the corner caught. This guy is being creative. Okay. There he is there. And now he's coming out this side. And what I'm going to do is I'll even him up as well. Aha. Okay. I was like, why isn't he coming out? So here's one thing to be aware of. I don't know that you can see it, but when I slipped him in, I slipped him into the little hole that was our lining. So just make sure you go through the bottom part. So I was actually trying to get him in between. He wasn't going to come out that way. Okay, so now we've got him and he's ready to go, and I'm going to hold against this side and pull it so we're getting them kind of evened up, and then I'll take that off. Then what we're going to do is take our ends, put them together, and just do a little overhand knot. And pull that, and then we'll come over to this side and do the same thing. And you'll notice that I don't have them lined up there. That's better. And then I'm going to do a little overhand knot here as well. Okay, then the next thing I like to do is take the ends of my ribbon and I'm going to trim it at an angle so it won't unravel. If it's straight and flat, there's more of a likelihood that it would actually come unraveled. Okay, so he is done. Done. You can put your goodies in there, and then you pull your drawstring, and then you can tie your little bow. And he's so cute. And he's better with chocolate in him or whatever because he'll have more form. But then you can fiddle with him a little bit and get those inside corners a little bit popped up, and also get your flower petals all popped up. I mean, stinking cute. Now, I want to tell you something that doesn't work as well as one might think. My first thought is, oh, I have a baby shower coming up and I have a gift that I would like to put in this cute little bag. So let's make it bigger. Cute bag. I use the same fabric that I made the quilt out of and everything, and it's really stinking cute. But let me show you why it doesn't work being bigger. And that is that it's so much fabric, I can't pull it into a tight little thing. Okay, because it's just so much fabric around here. I also used a ribbon that was 3/8 of an inch, and I thought, well, that's fine. But you know what? It's really hard to pull because the ribbon is so tight in the casing. So 1/4 inch ribbon, and then also you notice that this one we got it a nice tight little circle. This one we can't, right? I mean, seriously, I am pulling as hard as I can, and it's cute, but it's not going to be as tight. Okay, so that is lesson learned there. However, if you want to do a bigger bag, if it was 1 layer of fabric, if it's 1 layer of fabric, it's not as bulky, and then it should do better. But if we're working with, you know, printed fabric, you definitely have a right side or a wrong side, so that wouldn't work. So if you have a solid fabric that's not a printed solid, that's actually a yarn dyed, so it looks the same on both sides, that could be a batik. This is a homespun. It's a little stripe, but it's the same on the right side as it is on the wrong side. So this works, and wait till you see what I have in this one. Oh, are you ready? Are you ready? This is so exciting. I wanted this to look so good for you. So I just have trash. I have a bunch of garbage in here. Okay, so let me move that. But if you notice, the inside and the outside fabrics are exactly the same because it's a woven, and I only have 1 layer of fabric here, and I used the serger and some of the cutest metallic thread and did a rolled hem around the outer edge. So there was no turning and flipping. It's 1 layer. I just made that decorative stitch on there, and I did my 1/2 inch casing. But this guy, I started out with a 13-inch square because he's bigger. So instead of 3 inches here, I did 3.5. Okay, that's the only thing I did, is I made my petals bigger. But watch, when I pull it tight, it pulls it all the way tight, because it's just 1 layer of fabric. So even though my squares were bigger to begin with, they tightened, whereas the 2 layers would not tighten. So you have options. So if you want to get your serger out and start doing your rolled hems, then that's perfectly fine. You can do a 1 layered one. Try it at different sizes that you like, right? And give it a shot, and just be prepared. If you make it too big, it might not work. Just letting you know. But using a 10-inch square, you end up with the cutest little gift bag. I mean, the cute little pouch, and you can put those chocolates in it. Oh, heaven's sakes, make one for yourself and give it to your husband and let him buy you some diamond jewelry. It fits perfect in there. So anyway, have fun, no matter if it's Christmas, birthday, whatever the occasion. Enjoy making these gift bags. They're so fun and easy, and I know you'll enjoy making them. We'll see you next time.